Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Yes. Welcome, Mel Mack, to Mindset Artistry podcast. We're so excited to have you here. For all those that don't know Mel Mack, she is an amazing casting director, entrepreneur, coach, instructor, and so much more. She has been in the industry for over 26 years. That is amazing, and congratulations. She is an active casting director, coaching and acting in LA, New York, and amazingly, and surprisingly, I did not know this, but Vietnam, which is really cool, which I definitely want to ask about later. In addition to being the founder and lead instructor at the Mel Mack Acting Studio, the only acting studio run by a working casting director in New York. And she is also an author of one-on-one audition tips for actors. She is currently casting with House Casting, and she understands both sides of the table, which is amazing for our listeners and our audience members. And her actors consistently land their dream representation and career-changing roles around the world. And because they know how to not only book the role, as she likes to say it, but how to book the room, which I love. It's giving me chills just saying that. I'm like, ooh, chills, book the room. So welcome, Mel Mack. We are so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so I just want to, first off, how are you feeling today? That's how
Great. I feel awesome. I went to the gym. I'm going to go surf later.
Yes. Surfing.
Listen. Yep. Water
is to try it. She was against it, but I was like, no, we got to do it.
I did it one time, and then I broke a nail, but I still bleeding
left
in the
blood
ocean.
Trail for the sharks.
For the sharks, great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
They didn't come for me. Apparently, my blood is not good enough. That's okay for me. I'm okay with that. They didn't want me. So, speaking about all of the amazing things that you do as a casting director and coach, I want to ask, what do you love about your job? Because you've been in it for so long and this industry has changed so much. What do you love?
Which job?
I don't know. What's the first one that comes to mind, whether it's a casting director or a coach, instructor?
I think they all go hand in hand, right? So right now I'm a recurring on Law and Order. And that's interesting because it's a very different mindset for me now, 25 years later, than when I started in the industry, right? And so I really put into practice, because I regularly self-tape audition, and we'll talk about that. But I think putting into practice what I teach is important for me. And so being on set, I can understand, and I think I can bring more knowledge. I bring knowledge to my actors because of that experience. And then being on the casting side, particularly now in this virtual, we've been self-taping since like 2013.
Yes.
Right. It just wasn't a thing. And so now being in that virtual world and really seeing how it's not only shifted how as actors, we approach the work and approach the technical side of our work, but also how we're showing up in the virtual live audition room or the live callback room, and I think what I love about your podcast, the mindset is really the top three now for me. All those things go hand in hand when it comes to this new world that we're in, I feel like.
It's beautiful.
And what advice do you have actors regarding the mindset? Because I know even for me, so last weekend I had probably one of the biggest auditions of my life, and I hadn't had auditions for a little bit, and I was like, cool, that one, big, don't mess it up. You get one shot. Which it feels like sometimes, but it's just, and then we say, act like you already booked it, or you probably won't book it, or this thing. But I'm just trying to be embody the moment and do the craft of acting and be in that. But it can be very hard because we all want to book the work, and that just seeps in. So what, and I've asked actors this and casting directors and everybody, what advice do you have for actors' mindset in that moment where it's like these high stakes auditions how to just level it out and just be like straight with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to really wrap your head around it, particularly when we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for the big roles, is like, we want to get it right.
Mm.
I can't tell you how many times this has been the conversation in class for the past week. So when I read that question from you guys, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Because I end up being the cheerleader for my actors, right? Yesterday, we literally spent, like, I was like, I'm just gonna spend 15 minutes on like giving a pep talk. And it turned into like an hour. And everybody in the chat, because our classes are online, I needed this. I can't tell you how much this is helpful. It's now given me hope. And I think it's really important to, number one, understand, why are you doing this?
Mm.
Number two, what constitutes getting it right?
Mm.
So in the self-tape world, you know, I always tell actors, like, give yourself 3 chances. You would come to the room. People, this girl, I was coaching somebody, we laughed about this. She's like, I only had 18 hours with the material. And I was like, all right, I'm going to back this up for you. So let's just say you're in New York City and you get the audition the day before. You're now the next day on the train. Your train's running late. Your subway is running late, right? You're sweating. You didn't bring another shirt. You're now off the subway. And then you realize the train's broken. So you got to get on a bus or a city bike, or you got to get in a cab. There's traffic. You're running late to the audition. We close the door because it's now 5:15 and we waited an extra 15 minutes for anybody. You arrive late, sweaty, out of breath, stressed out. And now I'm handing you sides and saying, hey, listen, I've got to get this link to our director in 5 minutes. So can you just review it really quickly and come on in? Now, in the self-tape world, you have the beauty of not doing that.
Right.
But the problem with all of that is it's made every actor insecure. I have this award-winning actress that I work with, and her question to me for our coaching, before our coaching, was, Mel, how do you see my character? I was like, okay, this is a problem. Because what about this world is not making you trust your instincts? What's making you not trust that little award that you have sitting somewhere in your house, that you are interesting, that you're enough? Is it that we're putting, the thing I hear is like, well, we don't get immediate feedback. Well, you didn't in the room. You maybe got direction, but maybe we're only doing it with you once. Maybe we're only doing it with you twice. I think another thing to this is that we're seeing a lot more people now, because I'm able to, you know, maybe at House, we do a really good job of really hand picking people. We don't need to see 200 people for a job. We want to see this specific pool of people because everybody we're bringing in has the opportunity to book this job, right? So we don't need to see 200, let's see 60. But now maybe we're seeing 85, maybe we're seeing 100, maybe we're seeing 110. That's twofold. Amazing for actors that we haven't seen before. We're really good. We love finding new talent. You know, we're not an office that I've worked for offices before where it's always the same people. And so it makes sense that production wants new casting because they're seeing the same people all the time. But we have the opportunity now to see a lot more actors. It's awesome. And, you know, going back to the mindset part of it is, I feel like as actors, our focus is booking that job. I got to get it right. And then I got to book the job. There are so many factors that are keeping you from booking that job. And it might not be right for you. Guess what? Maybe you're supposed to just have that experience for whatever reason. So when your mindset is, I'm going to go in there and book that room. My job is to build a fan out of that casting director so that the next time a project comes across their desk, they're like, remember Amanda? She was amazing. We couldn't go with her because the producer's daughter needed to be in the show or whatever, right? Or we ended up getting the star that we thought wasn't going to be available. But let's call her back in. It happens all the time in the casting world. And I don't think enough people are talking about actor mindset in the sense of, number one, 1,000 people submitted for this job, literally Number 2, you were chosen. Number 3, we believe in you enough that we're giving you an opportunity. You're not doing me a favor. I think as actors, we think like, oh, I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to like say anything. What? We chose you. You're chosen. You are the chosen one for this job because you got it going on. So now it's like the expectation level. Yeah, you need to be off book.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to wear the right wardrobe. Yeah, you got to come in and actually talk to us if you don't understand the direction, right? Let us know. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. And, you know, that time is yours. And so finding ways to be able to empower yourself for that, when you get these big roles, you know, it's our mind, our actor brain wants to go, I got to book this. I got to be perfect. I got to get this like, you know, and you're sitting there and you're doing all the things and you get the self-tape perfect. It's so boring. The perfectionism surrounding self-tapes is so boring.
Yeah.
In life, we forget what we're saying. We stop in the middle of what we're saying and we like go off on a tangent like I am right now. You know, like there's all these things, we bumble words. But the self-tape world and the perfectionism surrounding it, like this woman I'm telling you about, what's my character's motivation? I'm like, well, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
We're hiring you because we know your work, or we saw your reel, or we believe in you. So I need you to bring in your choices. Don't do it like everybody else.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
There's so many good gems. I mean,
well,
I think
it made me
spoke to
think
my
of,
heart.
I know, I was like, don't cry. I felt like I was gonna cry. I was
like,
don't make me cry, Mel.
Hold it back. Don't do it.
Amazing. Because when I first started acting and first said I want to be an actor, I was like afraid to admit it. And then luckily I found your class because you know, people are a little scary in New York.
Yeah.
You know, like you weren't like mean. There's some teachers that are mean and kind of judgmental. And so anybody that needs an amazing teacher, call Mel. But really true, because we're just like, but that makes me think of kind of this question that we were trying to figure out how to ask. Oh, well, just in terms of like, so then it's like, then there's this whole thing of how to break in, and then, you know, we get our headshots, and then you're doing these short films, and then you're trying to build normal, healthy relationships with casting directors, but you don't want to be weird. But then I was saying in the fashion industry, which I've been working like 15 years now, like an old woman, I like have no issue because I really know where everybody stands in the industry, and it's like, okay, this is a technician, this is a designer, you're the money guy, and then I can just walk in with this confidence. I'm like, okay, I know my role in this, and like, let's work together, make this happen. But even now still, especially if you're not getting like tons and tons of auditions and all these chances, which is usually when I'm really like actor brain, get it perfect, is even more, the stakes are higher. I don't, you know, we're always trying to figure out how can we collaborate more and build these healthy relationships to get called in more, to work as a team. And it's always hard because actors put everyone else on a pedestal, and it's hard for us to figure out how to look at it,
you know, bridge the gap between casting directors themselves, the work, and then not being like stalkery actors who are like, I'm gonna email you or follow you on Instagram, because, you know, that's what we have now. We're not doing the postcards like we used to. With people don't even have offices much anymore. I know a lot of people are still working from home. So
yeah, so that wasn't a straight question, but from my bumbling, you might have gotten what I'm trying to.
How do actors build the gap between casting directors and themselves, and then be able to maintain that relationship with casting without feeling intrusive, or, you know, and then being able to, I guess, respect the collaboration and not feel like, oh my gosh, I got to get it right. If I get it wrong, they're never going to call me back again.
Well, if no one knows you exist, you can't get the audition. Right. So that's what everyone's always like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, I love this question. And, you know, again, I'm just going to keep bringing it back to mindset, because that has been like, that really has been my goal for the studio this year, is how to really, have that trifecta, right? Acting, business, mindset. So that's what I teach at the studio. And it's of course evolved over the years since, Janelle, you've been in class with me. Yes. This is a great question. And I get it a lot. And the best way to stay in touch with casting, let's bring it back to business. This is a business. This isn't friends business, it's show business. Takes a long time to learn that, right? I was literally talking about this in that cheerleader pep talk last night in class that went on like a very long time. Um, but one of the questions was, hey, listen, I have this agent and I've only gotten one audition in a year, but I have this manager who is getting me all these auditions. This is like the 5th time somebody has said this in a week, all different classes, right? I was like, okay, then, well, this is interesting. So what's the problem? Well, I don't know what to do because I'm afraid if I drop the agent, then I'm not going to blah, 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 blah. And what do I say? And, I think I'm just going to say to the agent and, multiple people have walked me through these scenarios. And I'm like, but you just wrote your own email.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you don't want to be with this person. So what's the problem? I don't want to burn a bridge. I'm like, this is business. So the mindset first, it goes back to what you were saying, Janelle, it's a business. You want to get into a business. What do you got to do? You got to get experience.
Yep.
So the first thing actors do is what? Run out and spend $1,400 on a headshot. You don't know your type. You don't know what your roles you're right for. You don't even know how to look at a script and get off book. And you're going to go invest $1,400 in your business? Doesn't make sense to me. So let's roll it back, right? So great. Let's get in a class or whatever it is you want to do, right? Voiceover, theater, film, television, commercials. Get in a class that has working actors, even if you're brand new, because you're going to learn a lot from those people, right? You want to be in a class that rehearses. Why? Because it builds confidence, because you're around other people that are helping you in your tribe build confidence. And also you can cry around and you can share experiences with, and you can start to build your business. Great. Okay. I'm in a class. I know how to get off book. I know how to read a script. I know how to break it down. I wonder what my type is in my business. Now let me figure out what my brand is. Oh, I hate branding. I hate when people call it a brand. Well, you are. At the end of the day, you got to get over it.
Yes.
So now your brand. What makes your brand stand out? What is the difference between Pepsi and Coca-Cola? They're both good, right? They both sell a lot. They're in competition with each other, but they're distinct and they know what they sell. So why is that important? Mindset wise, again, you're building confidence. You're building habits in your career. You're being smart about your financial investment. So now you know your type. You walk into your self-tape, right? Or you walk into the virtual audition room, or you walk into the live audition room and you're like, this is who I am. In this story, I'm going to honor what the writer has written, right? I am going to bring my unique point of view. How? Because I've lived an interesting life and I'm not just obsessed with my acting career. So I'm going to have a parallel situation. I talk about this in my book, 101 Acting Tips, a parallel situation, right? Personalize. I'm going to personalize this story because I've had this unique experience. If you don't want it casting, that's okay. That's okay. Because at least you see what I got. So when I'm ready and you need what I got, I'm going to bring it and I'm going to book it. Great. So now you did that, right? Well, in between there, you got headshots, right? So in between there, well, you know your type. And then what do? You go find a photographer and you do your due diligence that shoots your type. If you're comedy, you don't go to a drama headshot photographer. And then you got to ask the right questions and you got to know what clothes you're bringing because you know the jobs that you're going to play and you hired the photographer. So you get to have a conversation with the photographer for your business. So you walk away. Oh, I was afraid. I didn't want to tell the makeup artist I don't ever wear pink lipstick. Well, that's your fault. That's your fault. But if you're doing the steps along the way, you start to be empowered to be seen and heard in these positions that you're paying people to help you with, right? And then you get the resume and then you figure out how to get the reel, right? Beautiful thing about self-tapes now, casting will watch them. Agents and managers watch professional self-tapes. You don't have to go and pay somebody to do it. Got equipment, you got a friend, you can do all that good stuff together. We're going to watch that over a reel, or you go to RealArc. But if you go to RealArc, you let them know, here's my type, here's my log line, here's what I need, here's my headshot. So these are the types of roles that are not in my self-tape electronic press kit. So I need you guys to shoot these roles for me. Great. Smart investment. And then you get in touch with casting. Hey, Mel, great. Hey, Mel, how you doing? Just shot this self-tape for my comedy EPK. See you soon. I'm going to watch it. But I'm not going to read a letter and watch something where it's like, hi, Mel, I got into the acting industry 23 years ago. I have 3 dogs and I've been living in Ohio, but I'm really thinking about maybe I'm going to move to LA. How's your summer been? Mine's been great. Let me show you. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What do you, that's inappropriate for a business.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want? If you're not clear, everybody, on what you want, we cannot help you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to have a vision. So I used to do vision boards. Remember, Janelle?
Yeah.
So you do vision boards. And I was saying this in class. It's kind of like, as actors, we start getting all this momentum, right? We're staying in touch with casting. We're doing it maybe twice a month. We're sending casting or agents and managers that we want to be with every 2 months or 3 months, something that's active, something that I can see, that I can be like, you don't know if I have something coming across my desk that's right for you, but you send me a tape, you send me a self-tape, you send me something that you just did, I'm gonna watch it, right? So it's the best way to stay in touch with us. It's not stalkery, it's not weird, right? It's a business. If you want a job out in the business world, you're gonna stay in touch with them through LinkedIn. You're going to send them information that's useful for them to make a business choice, whether you're worth it or not for their company, whether you're a fit, right? As actors, we're so desperate all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't serve us at all. And, when you have this vision, I just want to tie this up. When you have the vision of where you're going, I knew when I walked in that fancy I got a big fancy agent in LA after I'd been working a bunch and not knowing what I was doing in Florida. And the head of NBC was like, hey, Mel, did a workshop with them in Hollywood, Florida. All funny. And called me at my home and it was like, hey, I'm going to get you an agent. I was like, this is how it happens, right? I was like, everybody's got this. What? I walk in, there's like 14 agents at this table, black and white headshot days. And they're like throwing my headshot around like a deck of cards. It was making me so angry. But anger is my friend. And so I was like, these people, just give me my headshot and fine. If you want to get with me, great. If you don't, great. Because I was so green and new, I didn't care. So anyway, they're like, yes, we'll think about you, blah, 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 blah. Well, they call me the next day. We're going to go ahead and sign you. This is your agent. Right. So I go in with my agent and I just thought like, well, this is how it is. And one of the things that he said to me is like, you know what you want. Because when I was in that agent meeting, one of them asked me, what do you want? I'm a series regular lead role in a primetime hit sitcom.
That's right.
If you do not know and you do not have that vision, it's like driving down to Mexico. You're going to drive to Mexico and then you're like, maybe I should just turn around and go back to New York. Okay, let me go back to New York. Nope, I'm going to go. Nope, I'm going back to Mexico because it's on my vision board. Yeah, but I'm like really scared. It's a risk. Every business is a risk. So if you're not risking and sending yourself in a smart way to casting and agents and managers, we do not know you exist. We think you fell off the face of the earth, right? If you're not risking to drop an agent because they no longer fit your vision, you do it in a business way. Thank you so much. It's been great working with you. I look forward to seeing you in the future. We've done a lot of great work together, but I feel like it's time for me to move on. Done. That agent isn't crying over you. They're like, great, I got somebody else lined up. Thank you so much. Been great working with you. If you don't take care of yourself in your business, you're not going to get where you're going. You're just not. And you'll waste a lot of money in the meantime.
Well, great, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. And scene, guys. Thanks so much.
Okay, bye. I
love it.
all of that because it took me, I was really lucky. And I know I've done class with you, Mel, in the past, and I was very lucky.
And you audition for us.
I do audition. I love
Don't act like you don't come in that beautiful pink.
Oh,
you have this
thank
beautiful
you,
pink.
thank
Hair
you.
was all
Yeah, it'll be whipping it around. Yes.
Callback.
Hair back and forth.
callback.
That's right. Yes, I love it. I know. it's beautiful because I was very lucky earlier on in my career where I had a coach or a teacher who taught me the business side of acting. And it was a business class. And so since then, I saw this as a business, not only as my career, but understanding that, like you said, any business out there, you would reach out to people respectfully, you would get straight to the point. And I worked in the corporate world, so I knew the 9-to-5 job. When an email, you don't drag on the email. It's 2 or 3 sentences. You get to the point, you reach happy day or whatever it is, but you get to the point because people are busy. Like, what is it, the purpose of this email? You want them to see something. So get to that. Don't drag it on. And all these things of, doing the postcards and reaching out and like having something to say, not just because like, hey, I read a book today.
Yeah, you got something to say.
So thank you for sharing that, because it's a great reminder that, and for any actors out there and our listeners, treat it as a business. Understand that, and I guarantee you will start shifting within the industry, and people will look at you differently too. They will have conversations with you because you're not just talking about, I just want to be an actor and, I want to be successful. And, I see myself on set and I can do that and I can make you money. It's like, well, every actor and every person out there is probably saying that same thing, but talk business, talk the language, present yourself and be confident in who you are. And that takes time though.
It does take time. And I think for anybody watching and listening, like I'm still there. Like Amanda's always like, send the email. Cause I'm just me and Mel, I'm always been like kind of like this awkward, quirky girl. And I was like, well, I don't want to like say the wrong thing or be weird or, I just can't help being weird. I'm just a goofball. But it can be very intimidating, but then it's like you're just gonna be forgotten. Like you just gotta.
It's true.
I mean, every 3 months, it's not bad.
Every 2 months. Look at.
I can do it.
As a business, you have to look at the data, right? Yeah. So at the end of Q1 for my business, or Q1, I'm going to compare it to last year Q1, right? Mm-hmm. First quarter. I'm going to look at second quarter and like, what do I have to shift, right? So is your business, and you have an agent or a manager, a submission report is incredibly useful for you if you know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Great. Hey, it's the first, second quarter of my acting business. Could I get a submission report? Look at the submission report. Wow, I'm really getting called into Telsey and Company. I'm being submitted to them. It looks like 8 times. Huh. Okay, well, why have I not gotten an audition yet? Let me see. What are the things I can do? I can do a paid workshop. Great. They get to see my work. I get to know how their office works. That might be a good investment for me. I could send them an email and introduce myself with a professional self-tape for the shows that it looks like I was called in for, that I would be right for. What's a role that they would call me in for? Let me send that to them so it's not just a cold email. And also, both of those things I can send to my agent or manager and say, hey, listen, next time a role comes up for Telsey, why don't you go ahead and pitch me? I went ahead and did a self-tape for you for a role that I think fits one of the shows. And I also just saw them in a workshop. Let me know what else I can do for me to get in that room.
Yep.
And then it's up to your representation. That's what you pay them to do.
Right.
But you have to be able to help them. Yeah, right. It's a collaboration. But let me tell you, people think they get an agent. It's like,
yeah, you can just take a nap and, wait for the call. No, you have to actively. I did that too when I got my first agent and manager. I put a list together of all of the workshops that I've been to, the casting directors, the feedback, when I met them, where I met them, how I corresponded with them after the fact, if they even responded, if I got, all the things. And it was very helpful because then, like you said, the casting, our representation, my agent and manager were able to go, hey, you met her back in so-and-so, can you, bring her in? It's just a good recognition. And it also shows that you understand the business side of it and you're passionate about it. You're not just waiting around for the job to come to you.
And it's so wild it's not taught in so many schools. I don't know. I went to William Esper and I love that school, but they didn't have a business class. And I don't know anything about the 4-year theater programs, but I hear a lot that there's not business classes. And it just really, you can shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, what advice would you give to actors with multiple interests in the industry or out trying to pursue a full-time career? Because we've heard it together and separately of like, you just need to focus on acting and that's it. Like, breathe it, live it, eat it, drink it, like all these things. And then you have these other actors, or producers or people in the industry going, well, have something out there that's going to bring more interest to your life and like color your life, whether it's a hobby that you're going to make a side business. So what is your advice for actors out there, that because we kind of get multiple versions of like how you should be an actor in this industry?
Well, listen, everybody has a different journey, right? So how you should be an actor in the industry, I can only speak from experience, right? And I'm not the be all end all. So obviously your listeners will, or viewers will take what works and, throw away what doesn't. For my own career, I did that. I ate, breathed, and lived acting, and it was awful. I never, ever, you couldn't buy me a mansion in Malibu to live in LA, because all I did was that. And that's all everybody is doing out there. And it's super boring. What's interesting about New York, I love LA. I mean, there's so many parts of it that I love. And like, I have like 5 best friends out there through my acting class. But whenever I think about it for myself, I think about struggle, 3 jobs, racing around, not getting work, crying in my car, not having a lot of friends, lonely, so lonely, right? And putting everything into my career. And then moving back to New York, I'm like, oh, what? You're an actor and you also like work at a publishing house? That's so interesting. Oh, you're an actor and you also like are a writer? You can do that? Like, people don't do that in LA. You know what I mean? Oh, you're this and you're also, I mean, they do that, duh. But, there's just, it's multifaceted. And I feel now it's very different, because I don't know how you can be a really full actor if you don't have a really full life. Theater, reading, going out with your friends, having a bottle of wine, going surfing, going on some like cool camping trip, taking adventures, having experiences. The beautiful thing about the pandemic is that I now have actors in class that have fantastic paying jobs from home. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, they don't have to struggle anymore.
Yeah.
And so they have a 9-to-5 job that they're working online from home. They're able to do their self-tapes at home. Their work is so much, their quality of life is so much better. People are getting married. They're having kids. They're like, it's just so full,
That's beautiful. I know earlier on I was told, like, don't get in a relationship, don't have kids, only focus on acting. And it actually gave me anxiety for a while, because I was afraid to live my life. Like, don't leave during like right before pilot season, or go away from New York, or have vacation, because you could possibly be called and someone else can't, like, all these things. And it puts so much fear in me that I actually lost a little bit of the spark, because I wasn't living my life. I wasn't able to like take myself on vacation. I went to Paris, I went to all these places, and it's like, well, that also colors your work. That colors your, like, who you are. You can bring that essence into your characters, or relate to them or not, so thank you for sharing that. And I love that advice for anyone who feels almost stuck in the idea that acting is the end all be all.
Yeah, and we've talked about how it helps you have empathy for other areas of the industry. So I don't know, I do the TV acting, but I also model, I do commercials, I do print, I do voiceover, but had the opportunity to produce. Yeah. Because I was just like, I want a creative life and I'm curious, and it just helps me understand all sides of things. But sometimes some of the clients we worked with, they're like, but then it means I don't really care about acting. It's like, I work at the Starbucks so I can have this money, so that I'm like, well, you have to know your North Star. Like, if you want acting to be your focus, make sure you stay focused on that. But there's no reason you can't have other jobs you like. feeding because you need to take classes.
Mhm.
You need to do these things. I'm always in class. I've never stopped.
Yeah, I know she's
For me.
really good at it.
I'm over at Anthony Abeson now, that old man. Yeah, you heard me, Anthony, 76 years old. But he just
Well,
keeps,
we're always coaching. You
Yeah,
always have to,
yeah.
it's, I just wrote this thing for our community on, I love comparing acting to sports, and I love basketball. And the story that I told was like, because I said this is part of the cheerleader pep talk in class last night, was imagine you're a pro basketball player, right? And you're on this team, but you're at the game, you're right, you're at the big game, you get fouled, you go to the foul line, and all of a sudden you get really nervous, and you become aware of the crowd, and those little weird things that they flail around, right? Now you're distracted, and now your teammates are looking at you, and you're feeling pressured, and you can hear your coach screaming at you, and you shoot up a brick, right? And then the next one you overshoot, and now you feel crappy, and you've lost confidence, right? And then we all find out, hey, this pro basketball player is only going to practice when it's the big game day. So you have a lot of actors who are like, I haven't been in class in a year, and I just got that big audition. And this is probably not great for me as a coach. And I'm like, ain't going to get it.
Yep.
Because now all your hot mess is coming out.
Mhm.
Because your mindset is on the fact that you haven't been in class in a year, and you're beating yourself up for not being in class in a year. And now you're bringing that to the work, and you can't even focus on the work.
Yep.
So I don't want to take your money, because there's no way that you're going to be prepared for this in 12 hours. I can help you, but half of that coaching becomes a therapy session.
Right.
I'm saying. So, you got to treat it, again, business and sports. You pro people, professional actors, professional athletes. Professional athletes are practicing 5 times a week. 5 times a week. So that when they get to that foul line, they don't see anything but that basket.
Yep.
Right. And they can feel what the feeling is when it swishes through and it scores those 2 points. Your body remembers that stuff.
Yep.
Right. And it also remembers that you haven't been in class in a year and you're feeling rusty.
Yeah.
And what do you think happens? Because people talk about that a lot, like, because I have a dancing background, and yeah, every day I practice dance, clarinet, saxophone every day. And even people that I didn't do it super professionally, dance was like semi-professional, but it's like, you weren't just going to not dance for weeks and then try to go out there and do a competition or a show or anything. So, but actors, talking about Anthony again, he's like, actors are the laziest artists out of all the artists. Everybody, because he's like, they're not keeping up with the,
Yeah, I think it also.
He's actually very nice. She's about to start with him.
Oh yes, I love like going to different studios and classes. That's just who I am. I think I probably have ADHD, and because I like to add to my toolbox. So I've worked with Mel for many years. I've worked with so many different studios. I think it just depends on the person. And that's when it comes down to not only mindset, but understanding you as a person and how you are effective as a working actor. Like, what does that mean for you? Does that mean getting up at 6 a.m. to do yoga or meditation or journal just to get your mind clear? Does that mean that you're going to bed at 8, 9 o'clock in the evening because you need your rest to properly have a clear mind the next day? These are things that you really need to tap into within yourself to not only get it right, but it's more about, how am I going to be able to function when you're on set for 12 hours, when you have to be on set, then do an interview, and then next day you got to film again, or you have an award show. These are things that are, as an active actor who is doing a press, kit throughout a month or a couple of weeks, also filming, they have to do 5 interviews a day. Then they have to prep for their work for the next season or another project, and working with a voice coach or physically training for another type of role. These are things that are going to require a lot from you. And you have to be able to be an athlete, to be able to keep it up. So what does that mean? Getting to know who you are, understanding your authenticity, knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no to things, even sacrificing, maybe sometimes going out with your friends, going, hey, I film tomorrow. We can have a quick dinner, but I have a tap out, like 8 o'clock, I got to be out, because, as much as I love you, I need to make sure that I'm functional tomorrow.
And not shaming yourself for
Yeah.
it, because actually that's something that I ran into. Sometimes it takes me a long time to memorize. Sometimes it takes me longer to do things. I understand the story. I believe in craft and I work really hard, but then I start getting like, well, other people don't have this. And if you want to be able to do this, you better, and I get a little too, I know, intense with myself.
Gotta reel it in.
But then Amanda reminds me, like, but that's your process, that's you.
What advice do you have for actors who may be coming across something like that, I like to call it the green monster, the internal hag, or, that comes in and goes, you can't, or is like stalking you in the other room. And you're like, I know, I see you. I nope, I'm going to ignore you. But you're like, what advice do you have for an actor who comes up with these like imposter syndromes, these perfectionisms, kind of all these isms that come up for, actors when trying to be their best selves, and when they have doubt, whether it's someone else that said it to them that you can't, and that's stuck with them because that happens, or it's just themselves because they never had an example of a success in their life around them, so they feel like they can't be successful. What kind of advice do you have for actors that deal with this type of mindset or issues?
I think the best way to deal with the green monster, right? That little voice, because we all have imposter syndrome, I think, is I like to journal. I think it's a really healthy way to be able to get how you're feeling out on the page. I'm not sure if you both read it, but Julia Cameron's The Artist Way.
Yeah,
so that was like, that was my
now.
Bible for like 5 years. The morning speech, right? And there's so many good things in there as an artist to be able to support yourself. And one of the things that I have now learned to do for myself just recently is to write down everything that I've accomplished that I don't think is a big deal. Right? Like, so for me, I'm like, oh yeah, people are like, you wrote a book? I'm like, yeah, I wrote, and I wrote a book. But like it's on Amazon, and I'm like, yeah, it's on Amazon. For me, that's not a big deal. But then when and I won't talk about it sometimes, right? And so my team is like, Mel, we got to get this book out. It was written like 3 years ago. Like, what are you doing? It's so useful. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Because it's not, I just did it. So, okay, great. Or people are like, oh, you were an actor? And I'm like, yeah, I still act. I do this stuff. Oh, were you talking? Don't you love that? Were you talking in shows?
Somebody said that to me.
In the heart.
I was like, as a matter of fact, and I pull that sucker right up, and I'm like, there you go, right?
How would I tell you if I was an extra?
Yeah, but I mean, those are accomplishments.
Yes,
right. If somebody asked me like, oh, so about family, about travel, about surfing, right? I mean, I've been a mediocre surfer for 9 years, and now I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to be good at it, and I'm going to work at it, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to fall. And it's very humbling, but that's an accomplishment. Getting up to go to the gym or to meditate, making a list of all those, moving to a new city is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having an agent sign you is a big accomplishment. But things that are outside of the industry that can be a very big accomplishment for you that you just don't think is a big deal because it's just who you are. And you got to treat yourself. I'm going to say this last thing. So I have a friend that I've recently met, and I don't know, I was buying earrings or something. And she was like, I can't remember the last time I bought myself jewelry. Like, maybe I should, like, what do you think? And I was like, is there a reason that you haven't done that? And she's like, well, no, I just like to live really minimalist. And I really just don't want to don't. This life is abundant. This universe has so much to give us, not just monetarily. And I was like, so what happens if you buy that necklace that you want? Well, I don't know. That's like $60 that I could save. I'm like, do you think that $60 isn't going to come somewhere else? Is that going to make you feel good to have that? Well, yeah, it actually really would. Well, how's it going to make you feel? It just kind of makes me feel fancy and this. I'm like, what? That is so worth that $60.
Yeah. I love that.
We just have to treat ourselves better. Julia Cameron talks about how many of us have holy socks and stretchy bras. I have had bras for like 10 years. I'm like, seriously? Like the lace is like half off this thing and there's like a side hole. You know what I mean? Like I deserve a new bra. Like that is, and going out and getting fitted for a bra, it feels like $1 million.
Yes. Yes. I love
and
that.
it's mindset. It's
Yes.
all. So
It's-
when that creepy thing comes in, it's like, oh yeah, okay, you get 5 minutes to talk, and now I'm going to show you my list of amazingness,
Yeah.
of how amazing I am. And you know what? I don't like you right now because now you're talking for 15 minutes, and I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you because I'm going to go on a walk. Nature is the best healer.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's for me. Mindset is go for a walk. It can be so hard. It's so hard when you're depressed and you feel stuck and you feel like you're not getting any traction. And all you can do is look at the negative side, and just taking a step out your front door feels like the most difficult thing in the world. And then once you get outside and you go to Central Park, you go to a park or a beach or just your yard, it's a game changer. And don't take your phone. Get off your phone.
Mhm.
Get off of Instagram. Who is posting like crappy things on Instagram? Right?
They're glorifying their lives and you don't know what they're dealing with. So I love that. I love just the importance of self-care and just self-awareness and just really taking care of yourself. Like one of the things is I change my room all the time because I love the ambiance. Like I'm different. I have themes. She knows me. I have a theme for my room. I go from pink gold to like brown and like but that makes me feel good because my environment nurtures me as well, not only just outside but inside. So I love that. So you got to find what works for you. You got to be honest about it too. Be honest about what you like and what you don't, and then just do it. Just go it. Forget about everybody else. Let them live their own lives. What will you wake up to every single day and going, I'm happy about this? Or you know what, I'm feeling really, really sucky today. Let me do something that I enjoy doing. Let me discover something new. And I love that. I think we tend to forget that because we get so caught up in the routines, the practices, the fear,
you
the
got to be like
doubt.
this or something better.
Right.
So many people are afraid, like, oh, but I'm so even this, I'm shifting jobs. I'm probably not gonna be working in fashion anymore. And it's so weird because that would actually make me a lot happier, but it's something I've been doing for so long and I do love design.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but where's my, what am I gonna do? You know, but you just have to let things come. Like you said, buy the necklace. The money will be back around in a different way.
Money is energy. Money
Yeah.
is energy, is a frequency. You have to vibrate on that high level.
Oh,
And,
we
we can talk for
God.
hours, but one of the things I want to like wrap up with this is like, where can our audience or our listeners, learn more about you and stay in contact with you?
Yeah. So get off your phone, but stay on Instagram for at Mel Mack Acting Studio. I think it's the best way. I actually was very anti-social media, and then I worked with Heidi Dean, and she like really changed my mindset around that. And I love it for how it works for me, and also for how I can stay in touch with actors. And we have great freebies. We have like 4 great freebies. So if people DM me there, then we can send a freebie. I'm happy to answer questions. Come on over and just say hi. Or I guess our website, melmackactingstudio.com. But I feel like social media is the best. And I'm always open to helping people. Tell me how I can answer something in a video for you.
Yeah. Yes, I love your videos.
I know, I do too.
I laugh every time because I appreciate.
Oh my God.
But then I'm like, oh, she's like, don't be weird.
Don't be weird. Be weird. Be weird.
In a good way. In a good way.
Don't be like, don't conform and be a robot and be all the same. And then we're like in the Terminator world. It's depressing. Very depressing.
But you gotta be normal on set, like that kind of professional.
Oh, just be professional. Doesn't mean
professional.
Yes. So what's your final thought that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
It's a good one. Final thought that I would like to leave with people. I think the biggest thing for me, for actors, is just we need you. Like I don't have a job if we don't have actors, right? It goes back to what I was saying earlier, just to do a quick callback. If production's going to go to a different casting, if we're constantly calling in the same actors, so I need actors to stay in touch with me. I need actors to know, to let me know that they're out there in the world and happy and doing stuff. And it has to be in a professional way. But if I just hope that when we feel crappy, that we can remember, like, I'm interesting enough. You know, I'm needed. I'm seen. I'm heard. You know, I'm a bundle of love and creativity and consciousness, and I'm out in this world, and I'm in this space and time because I'm meant to be here. And I am meant to let my light shine. And if people don't like it, that's okay. They're not the right moths to the flame.
That's
right.
Wow, I love that. It's giving me chills. And before we go, I know you have a special offer for our listeners. Please let them know what that is.
Oh, well, you know, that is going to be this freebie. So if people want to DM me, so we put together this, I actually really love this freebie. And it came because an actor suggested it. So I usually just offer it on my masterclass for my big mistakes that you're making, like that are keeping you from booking the room. But I want to offer it for you guys. So it's 50 plus sides. And I think now it's like up to like 73. So we just put together this whole thing because we realize, oh, actors need sides that fit their type. So we've categorize it as best we can, also for teens, right? And for kids, because I coach a lot of teens and kids. So for any parents that are listening, for you guys, you know, it's a very useful tool for everybody. So yeah, if they can DM me on Instagram, I can put that, we can go ahead and send that to everybody.
That's amazing. Thank you. We're always looking for sides, and I feel like,
yeah, they're good ones. They're actually really good ones. So
good.
And I'm rebranding, like next week I get new headshots and all the details, and then I'm gonna have a couple lines for each character that I'm making.
Yeah.
Now they'll actually say them, but you know, I don't want to look dead in the eyes. And it really helps you to be like, who am I? And then you're just like, you know. So it's good to have the sides that match.
Yeah.
You know,
it's really good.
It's good. All right.
Well,
Always.
thank you, Mel, so much
We
for joining us.
appreciate
Like,
you so
I
much. It's
honestly, if you're not
amazing.
following Mel on Instagram, you should be. Like,
Get it
literally leave it
together.
now. Yeah, and because
Yeah,
your
yeah.
life has been missing some light, and that's Mel Mack, honestly.
Aw,
She's
thank you,
wonderful,
guys.
and she is one of the best out there who is literally advocating for you. And whether you realize it or not, she is one of the ones out there, and they all are, but she's definitely advocating for all of you. So I want you to, like she said, and I always say this, you are seen, you are heard, and you matter.
Yeah.
So thank you for reiterating that to our audience, because I think sometimes we tend to forget that because we get so caught up in what's not working, the negative, you know, the negative thoughts thing, you know. So thank you again for your time, your knowledge, and the giggles and laughs.
Yes.
You're so welcome. Yeah. And you know, you guys, and on YouTube too. So we also are on YouTube, Mel Mack Acting Studio, because I realized that you both are on YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Now we
Yeah.
are.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay.
Mel Mack Studio, everybody. Keep in contact and subscribe, share, and like. You do all of it.
Yes.
All of it. All the things.
Now I have to pause for editing.
Yeah, just a quick, so we know where to cut it.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.